The California Department of Finance said they project inflation for the 2022 fiscal year will be 7.6% higher than the year before, causing the increase. Inflation did cool on an annual basis for the first time in months. Strong consumer demand continued to keep consumer prices running near a 40-year high. And the lawmakers in California voted to increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour in 2016, but the increase was phased in over several years. The minimum wage is currently $15 an hour for companies with 25 or more workers. The lawmakers in Congress want to send out a $1,000 stimulus check to every person that is experiencing the financial difficulties right now. More crisis relief aid will be used to fund this new plan. Representative Jim Banks, who represents Indiana's 3rd Congressional District, told reporters this week that the near $40 billion in aid that has been approved by the House of Representatives could be used to give Americans $1,000 each. The representative has stated that $1,000 for every single American is the equivalent of $40 billion. The IRS reported that in its progress update for fiscal year 2021, they had paid out more than $800 billion to people across the 3 stimulus checks in 2020 and 2021. And according to AAA, while unemployment is low at just 3.6% in April, inflation remains at a near 40-year high and stood at 8.3% in April, while gas prices reached new record highs this week and stood at an average of more than $4.45 per gallon on Friday. Delaware lawmakers are trying to address the rising cost of living in their state. The plan, known as the 2022 Delaware Relief Rebate Program, includes a one-off $300 check to be sent out to anyone who filed a 2020 tax return in the state, with this money expected to hit the letter boxes by the end of the month. In a statement, the governor of Delaware said the relief is intended to help people in Delaware that are facing higher prices at the grocery store and gas pump. And the state of Delaware is working hard to issue the $300 one-time rebate checks to qualifying taxpayers by the end of May 2022. Now, the Transportation Secretary said that the nationwide shortage of baby formula has the attention on the highest levels of the Biden administration. He told reporters that this is such a serious issue, and that's why it's getting attention at the highest levels. To address the shortage being felt by families across the country, the Biden administration is expanding formula products that can be purchased with benefits from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Biden said that Biden is also working with manufacturers to boost importation of formula from abroad. Biden told reporters that there should be significantly more formula on store shelves in a matter of weeks. In a letter to her Democratic colleagues, Nancy Pelosi announced that the House of Representatives is also set to take action this week to address the shortage. For recent headlines about the struggle to families and their need for formula has sparked criticism from congressional Republicans, who have been demanding that the Biden administration take further action to address this issue. What are your thoughts on this, everybody? Should President Biden do more for the American people, and what do you think he should do next? Should he send out stimulus checks sooner than later? Tell me in the comments below.
Objection. The gentlewoman is recognized for 1 moment.
Mr. Speaker, rising prices are straining families' budgets and robbing them of the full benefits of our strong economic recovery. Last year, we experienced the fastest rate of economic growth in 4 decades and the single greatest year of job creation ever. Thanks to this robust growth, workers are securing better jobs with higher pay. Wages have risen more than 4% since President Biden took office. Yet, even as inflation has slowed, rising prices are eating into families' paychecks. To help cut costs for families, the House recently passed legislation to cap the price of insulin at $35. And this week, House will consider new legislation to address pain at the pump. The Consumer Fuel Price Gouging Prevention Act would establish the first ever federal law against price gouging by oil and gas companies, cutting costs and preventing profiteering. This
yields. The gentlewoman reserves, and the gentleman from Virginia is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from New York, a distinguished member of the Committee on Education and Labor, Mr. Espaillat.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. After more than 2 years of instability during the pandemic, Congress must ensure that all Americans have resources to access the job market, especially those that are typically left behind. Each year, 600,000 individuals are released from incarceration, and nearly half of them have repeat contact with the criminal justice system within a year. There is a critical need to invest in reentry programs. The Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act of 2022 does just that by guaranteeing the Department of Labor's Reentry Employment Opportunity Program is authorized a $500 billion by 2028. This investment will not only expand reentry employment assistance for adults, but also prevent
case. We have a similar problem with F-35, where a lot of our earlier aircraft need a lot of modifications. And I know you're going to go to my acquisition malpractice comment. In a moment.
You bet I am. But let's.
Yes, it is finally happening. Congress is passing a new stimulus bill very soon. Joe Manchin is now meeting with Republican lawmakers to gain their support on President Biden's spending bill. Now, many people will be receiving an $800 stimulus check very soon, so you want to continue watching this video to never miss out on the very important stimulus check information, and we have a ton of good news to cover. So the majority of people in Colorado are eligible to receive $400 to $800 stimulus checks from the state government due to the Taxpayer Bill of Rights passed in 1992. Most full-time residents have already taken in the necessary steps to get their check mailed to them this summer, filing their 2021 state income tax return. Any full-time resident who hasn't been filed can still claim and ensure they get a check by filling out a submitting form by May 31st. However, a lot of residents, including many veterans and seniors, do not regularly file state income tax returns, and they have questions regarding their eligibility. Folks, the answer is yes. You are still eligible to receive the $400 check for single filers and $800 for joint filers if you are a full-time resident. According to Colorado Governor Jared Polis, there are additional benefits to filing state and federal income tax returns, even if the taxpayer owes little to nothing. He said filing a return ensures that any excess withholding tax is refunded, and they may also be eligible for valuable refundable state and federal credits, like the Earned Income Credit and the Child Tax Credit. This is the same requirement for people in Colorado who claim and receive payments for the 6-tier flat sales tax refund mechanism that would normally refund the money at filing time next year. All eyes are on Joe Manchin as he moves forward with negotiations on President Biden's Build Back Better bill. Reporters have asked Senator Manchin and GOP senators about the claim in a new book that Manchin he will be willing to switch to the Republican Party if Senate Republican John Thune were the Senate GOP leader instead of Mitch McConnell. Manchin told reporters today that Republican colleagues frequently ask him about switching parties and that he never seriously considered leaving the party. The banter between Manchin and his Republican colleagues is reinforcing doubts that he will not sign on any point this year to a partisan reconciliation package to enact major elements of Biden's domestic agenda, with 50 Democrat votes and no GOP votes. Democrats also have taken note that Manchin's opposition to various Democratic initiatives appears to be playing well back home. According to a report, Manchin's job approval rating in West Virginia has jumped by 17 points compared to a year ago.
For decades, the trickle-down economics has failed as income inequity grew to historic levels under the Republicans, the mega Republicans, the MAGA Republicans. I don't want to mispronounce it, the MAGA Republicans. This is time to grow the economy, but from the bottom up in the middle.